Daniel saw the stone moving down to Babylon. Daniel saw the stone moving down to Babylon. Daniel saw the stone moving down to Babylon. Daniel saw the stone. Was a big, great stone moving down to Babylon. It was a big, great stone rolling down to Babylon. It was a big, great stone rolling down to Babylon. Daniel saw the stone. Abba is always near. Abba is always near. Daniel saw the stone moving down to Babylon. Daniel saw the stone moving down to Babylon. Daniel saw the stone moving down to Babylon. Daniel saw the stone. It was a big, great stone rolling down to Babylon. A big, great stone rolling down to Babylon. It was big, great stone rolling down to Babylon. Daniel saw this stone. After these things, I saw another Malach come down from heaven, having great authority, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is falling, and is become the habitation of demons and of every foul spirit, and cage of every unclean and hateful birds. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth have grown rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, so that you do not partake of her sins, and so that you do not receive of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto the heavens, and Yahweh has remembered her iniquities. Render to her just as she rendered to you, and repay her double according to her works in the cup which she have mixed for her double. Good evening, world. 6 days have now come to an end since the Sabbath of the full moon, KISLEV 6006. And this evening I am here on the street to acknowledge and to welcome in Yahweh's set-apart Sabbath of the third quarter of the moon, KISLEV 22nd, 6006. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the sixth day, Yahweh ended his work which he has made, and rested on the seventh day. Thus Yahweh blessed the seventh day and hallowed it. It has been raining since last night and throughout the day, and so this evening there is no visible sunset, and it is as if Yahweh has washed the earth and made it clean in readiness for his holy set-apart Sabbath. And so this evening I want to pause for a moment to give Yahweh thanks, praise for his awesome goodness and for his loving kindness, and for the way he has revealed to us his words, so that we can be instructed to walk in righteousness. This evening I am here to proclaim to all the world that Saturday nor Sunday is not Yahweh's Sabbath. I am here to declare that Yahweh's Sabbath is determined by the new moon, and that the moon has been Yahweh's time clock from the fourth day of creation. I am here to declare that Yahweh's Sabbath is the memorial of his great creation. I am also here to declare that Yahweh's Sabbath is his sign between Yahweh and his people. We have inherited lies, just like Jeremiah 16:19 tells us. We have been fed with lies by Rome. And we are also told that Israel, with her stubbornness, has forsaken Yahweh's laws, and as a result Yahweh has caused his Sabbaths to be forgotten in Zion. I'm going to take just read for us, if I may, 16, if I may. O Yahweh, my strength and my fortress, my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles will come to you from the ends of the earth and will say, surely our fathers have inherited nothing but lies and vanity, worthless, powerless Elohim, of no use at all. I was reading Nehemiah. I was searching to see the prayer that Nehemiah prayed to Yah when Israel was in bondage. And I have seen that Israel has not changed. Despite the goodness of Yahweh to us, we continue to break his commandments. I am going to read something from Nehemiah as he recounted Yahweh's goodness to his people and how instead of serving Yah, they continue to reject Yahweh. He says, you saw the affliction of our fathers in Egypt, and you heard their cry by the Red Sea. And you sent miracles, signs, and wonders against Pharaoh and against his officials, and against the people of the land. For you knew that they acted proudly against our fathers. You made the name for yourself as it is this day. You divided the sea in front of them, so they went through in the midst of the sea on dry ground. But they pursue. You hurled into the depths like a stone into the mighty waters. You led them by day with a pillar of cloud, and by night with a pillar of fire to give them light. And on the way that they were to go, you came down upon the Mount of Sinai, and you spoke to them from heaven, and gave them ordinance and true laws, and righteous statutes and judgment. You made known to them your holy Sabbath, and commanded them precepts and statutes and laws through the hand of Moses your servant. You gave them bread from heaven for their hunger, and you brought them water out of the rock for their thirst. You ordered them to go in and possess the land which you vowed with an oath to give them. They refused to obey and failed to remember your miracles which you perform among them, they become stubborn. And in their rebellion, they chose a leader in order to return to their bondage. But you are our Father, willing to forgive, merciful and compassionate, slow to anger, and unfailing kindness. And you did not forsake them, even when they made the model altar for themselves and said, "This is your El, which brought you out of Egypt," and committed sin to provoke you to anger. In your great mercy, you did not forsake them. In the wilderness, the pillar of cloud did not depart from them day by day, which guided them on their way, nor did the pillar of fire depart from them by night as they go on their way. Yes, this is Nehemiah recalling the goodness of Yahweh to his people Israel. Yes, Yahweh provided Israel with manna from heaven, but Israel reject Yahweh's commandment, reject Yahweh's Sabbath, just as we are doing today. Well, it is very dark right now, and it appears that we are going to have more rain, and so I'm just out here, as I plan I would always do, to acknowledge Yahweh's Sabbath, and to admonish each and every one of us to remember Yahweh's Sabbath, to keep it holy. Yahweh's Sabbath is a sign between him and his people Israel throughout their generations. Yahweh command that if his Sabbath is broken, those who break his law would be would be cut off from his people. Let us remember Yahweh's Sabbath day to keep it holy. We notice that the world is getting ready to celebrate the pagan holidays. And if you notice, Yahweh, the pagan holiday is going to be on Yahweh's set-apart Sabbath. Let us remember Yahweh's Sabbath to keep it holy. Let us also remember that to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. I am going to see if I'll just read one more text before the rain begins. And it is, I think it's, let me look. Yes. Holy Sabbath day of praise. Oh, you shall richly bless. Eat to us a sign shall be throughout all eternity. 'Tis the Sabbath day of praise. Oh, you shall richly bless. Eat to us a sign shall be throughout all eternity. 'Tis the Sabbath day of praise. Oh, you shall richly bless. Eat to us a sign shall be throughout all eternity. 'Tis the Sabbath day of praise. Oh, you shall richly bless. Eat to us a sign shall be throughout all eternity. 'Tis the Sabbath day of praise. Oh, you shall richly bless. Eat to us a sign shall be throughout all eternity. 'Tis the Sabbath day of praise. Oh, you shall richly bless. Eat to us a sign shall be throughout all eternity. 'Tis the Sabbath day of praise. Oh, you shall richly bless. Eat to us a sign shall be throughout all eternity. 'Tis the Sabbath day of praise. Oh, you shall richly bless. Eat to us a sign shall be throughout all eternity. 'Tis the Sabbath day of praise. Oh, you shall richly bless. Eat to us a sign shall be throughout all eternity. 'Tis the Sabbath day Let's read one more verse from Nehemiah. Yes. Yes. I'm not seeing where I want to read. Okay. All right, let's start. But as soon as they were at rest, I think I might have to leave. Okay. Yes, they kept. It's not going well. Then you handed them over to their enemies. Yes. Yes, Yahweh's people, Israel rejected Yahweh's law, and Yahweh handed them over to their oppressors. He says, then you handed them over to their enemies who oppressed them. So in time of their trouble, they cried unto you. You heard from heaven, and in your compassion, you sent a Savior and saved them from the hand of their enemies. But as soon as they were at rest, again they did evil in your sight and you abandoned them in the hands of their enemies. So they rule over them. Yet you have not turned. Yet when they turned and cried to you, again, you heard them from heaven, and in your compassion you saved them many times. You testified a warning against them, so you might bring them back to your law. But they acted ignorantly and would not obey your laws and sin against your judgments, which if man will perform to do, he shall even live in them. But they shrugged their shoulders and stiffened their neck and refused to hear. Okay, yes, that's the condition of Israel, and that's the condition we find ourselves in today. Many do know that Saturday is not the Sabbath, neither is Sunday, yet they remain stubborn just like Israel of old and refuse to keep Yahweh's creation Sabbath. I am well aware that we are living in spiritual Egypt. We are still in Babylon. And it's not an easy thing because of how this world is set up. But the least we can do is to acknowledge Yahweh's Sabbath. Acknowledge His Sabbath. And do not pretend that we are doing righteously and that we are keeping His laws and we are disobeying His commandments, especially His Sabbath, because He tells us that His Sabbath is a sign between Him and His people Israel. Let us remember Yahweh's Sabbath. Let us obey His Sabbath. Let us walk in truth and in righteousness. Honor my Sabbath, He says. It shall be a sign between me and you, that you may know that I am Yahweh, your Elohim, your Father, who sanctifies you. We cannot disobey Yahweh and expect to inherit His kingdom. I think it's Revelation 22 verse 14 tells us, blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For as the new heavens and the new earth which I will make shall remain before me, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, says Yahweh. I want to take a look at verse 24 quickly as the time clicks away and as the wind blows. Verse 24. I want to see. Yes, verse 24 says, and they will go out and look upon the carcass of the men who have transgressed against me, for their worms will not die, nor their fire quench, and they will be an abhorrence to all flesh. Yes, destruction and eternal domination will be upon those who transgress the laws of Yahweh, those who pollute his Sabbaths. I'm going to read the reward to those who keep Yahweh's Sabbath. It says, and also to the sons of the Gentiles, which join themselves to Yahweh, to serve him and to love him, and to love the name of Yahweh, to be his servants, everyone who keeps the Sabbath without polluting and defiling them, and who hold fast to my covenant. He says, Yah says, and I will bring them to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offering and their sacrifice will be accepted upon my altar, for my house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. Yes, Yahweh promised all the strangers who keep his Sabbaths a place in his house. Their burnt offerings will be accepted. I was thinking about burnt offering. We have been in a world of, I don't know how to describe it, a world of sin and transgression. I personally do not know how to offer a burnt offering. Not even that we have not been taught. So we need to return to Yahweh. As Yahweh begin to rebuild the old waste places and to call back Israel to the keeping of his laws, and also to call upon his divine name. Let us remember Yahweh's Sabbath to keep it holy. Let us remember that if we be willing and obedient, we shall eat the good of the land. But if we refuse and rebel, we shall be devoured by the sword, for the mouth of Yahweh has spoken us. Holy Sabbath, day of rest. Bye. this happy Sabbath. Yahweh's Sabbath of the third quarter of the moon has arrived. It's the Sabbath of the third quarter of the moon. KISLEV 22nd, 6006. Have a holy rest. And remember, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. Have a holy Sabbath. Shalom.